People spend an incredible amount of time asking the wrong question. They ask, how do I make people obsessed with me? Or how do I become impossible to forget? The better question is far more powerful. What kind of person do I need to become so that my presence naturally leaves a lasting impression? A life that naturally earns respect is never built by trying to impress everyone you meet. It is built by developing qualities that remain valuable even when nobody is watching. Many people spend years chasing recognition, believing that admiration is the highest form of success. They carefully manage their image, seek constant approval, and measure their worth by the opinions of others. Yet admiration that depends only on appearances is often temporary because opinions change quickly. Respect, however, grows from something much deeper. It is earned through consistent character, disciplined habits, and the quiet confidence that comes from living according to your principles. Human nature naturally recognizes authenticity. People may be entertained by charm for a short time, but they place lasting trust in those whose actions repeatedly demonstrate integrity, responsibility, and self-control. Developing a life that others respect begins with taking responsibility for your own growth. Invest time in learning new skills, improving your health, strengthening your emotional resilience, and keeping the promises you make to yourself. Every small act of discipline becomes another piece of evidence that you are becoming the person you intend to be. This process also changes the way you interact with others. Instead of seeking validation through constant attention, you contribute value through your actions. You become someone who listens carefully, speaks honestly, fulfills commitments, and remains dependable even during difficult circumstances. These qualities create a reputation that no amount of self-promotion can replace. Respect is also strengthened by purpose. When your life is guided by meaningful goals, you become less distracted by comparison and less affected by temporary criticism. Your confidence grows because it is rooted in progress rather than popularity. Human psychology is naturally drawn to individuals who possess direction and consistency because these qualities communicate stability. Such people do not need to announce their importance. Their behavior quietly reflects it. Relationships become healthier as well because they are built on mutual appreciation instead of the constant need for approval. People value your presence because they trust your character, not because you are always trying to gain their attention. Over time, your influence expands naturally. Others notice your discipline, your calmness, and your commitment to continuous improvement. By focusing on building a life worthy of respect instead of chasing admiration, you create something far more enduring. You develop a character that remains steady through success and failure alike, earning genuine trust, lasting credibility, and meaningful relationships because your actions consistently reveal the strength of the person you have chosen to become. Real influence begins with creating value, not with seeking attention. Many people make the mistake of believing that if enough people notice them, admire them, or talk about them, they will automatically become important. Yet attention without substance is temporary. It can disappear as quickly as it arrives because it depends on trends, opinions, and the constantly changing interests of other people. Value, on the other hand, has lasting power because it is built on qualities that genuinely improve the lives of others. Human nature naturally respects those who contribute something meaningful, whether it is knowledge, reliability, creativity, wisdom, or integrity. These qualities cannot be created through appearance alone. They are developed through patience, discipline, and a willingness to continue growing even when no one is watching. Creating value begins by asking a different question. Instead of wondering how to become more noticed, ask how to become more useful, more knowledgeable, more dependable, or more capable. Every book you study, every skill you practice, every promise you keep, and every challenge you overcome increases the value you can offer to the world. This process also changes your confidence because it becomes rooted in genuine ability rather than in external recognition. You no longer depend on constant praise to believe in yourself because your daily actions provide evidence of your growth. Human psychology responds strongly to authenticity. People may initially be attracted by confidence or charisma, but lasting respect develops when those qualities are supported by consistent action. Someone who quietly delivers results earns greater trust than someone who constantly seeks attention without meaningful contribution. This principle also strengthens relationships. When your focus is on giving rather than simply receiving approval, your interactions become more genuine and balanced. You listen with greater care, contribute with greater sincerity, and build trust through reliability instead of performance. Over time, attention begins to arrive naturally, not because you demanded it, but because the value you create becomes difficult to ignore. Others become interested in your work, your character, and your perspective because they recognize genuine substance behind your presence. By dedicating yourself to creating value before seeking attention, you build a life founded on purpose instead of popularity. Your influence grows through consistent contribution. Your confidence grows through real achievement, and your reputation becomes the natural result of the positive impact you make rather than the amount of attention you attempt to attract. Emotional stability is far more attractive than emotional intensity because it creates a sense of trust, security, and confidence that dramatic reactions never can. Many people mistake intensity for strength. They believe that expressing every emotion immediately, reacting passionately to every situation, or constantly seeking reassurance makes them appear genuine. While honesty about emotions is important, allowing every feeling to dictate your behavior often creates unpredictability rather than confidence. Human nature is naturally drawn toward people who remain balanced under pressure because emotional consistency communicate maturity and self-control. A person who stays calm during disagreement, patient during uncertainty, and humble during success demonstrates an inner strength that does not depend on changing circumstances. Emotional stability begins with understanding that feelings are temporary, while your values should remain constant. Instead of reacting impulsively to criticism, rejection, or disappointment, you take time to reflect before deciding how to respond. This pause prevents temporary emotions from leading to permanent mistakes. It also protects your peace because you are no longer allowing every external event to determine your internal state. Human psychology respects individuals who can remain composed without becoming distant or uncaring. They listen before speaking, observe before judging, and respond with thought rather than impulse. This creates stronger relationships because others feel safe around someone whose behavior is dependable instead of unpredictable. Emotional intensity often demands constant attention, while emotional stability quietly earns lasting respect. It allows you to support others without losing yourself, communicate honestly without unnecessary conflict, and maintain your confidence without depending on continual reassurance. As you develop this quality, your decisions become wiser because they are guided by reason and principle instead of bypassing emotions. Challenges no longer overwhelm you as easily because your focus remains on finding solutions rather than reacting to problems. Success also becomes easier to manage because confidence is balanced with humility rather than pride. Over time, emotional stability becomes one of your greatest strengths. People begin to notice that your presence brings calm instead of chaos, clarity instead of confusion, and reassurance instead of uncertainty. They trust your judgment because your actions remain consistent even when circumstances change. By choosing emotional stability over emotional intensity, you build stronger relationships, make better decisions, and develop a quiet confidence that naturally inspires respect. Your influence grows not because you seek attention through dramatic reactions, but because your steady character demonstrates the kind of strength that people admire, remember, and genuinely trust. Maintaining your independence while building meaningful relationships is one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity. Many people believe that closeness requires sacrificing their individuality, but the healthiest relationships are formed when two people choose to share their lives without losing their own identity. Human nature longs for connection, yet it also needs purpose, growth, and personal freedom. When your entire happiness depends on another person's attention, your confidence becomes fragile because it rises and falls according to their actions. Every delayed message feels significant, every disagreement feels threatening, and every moment of distance creates unnecessary anxiety. This emotional dependence often leads people to neglect their own ambitions, friendships, interests, and values in an effort to preserve the relationship. Genuine independence creates a healthier foundation. It means continuing to invest in your personal development, your goals, your health, and your character, regardless of whether someone is present to applaud your progress. This does not make you distant or emotionally unavailable. Instead, it allows you to enter relationships from a position of strength rather than need. Human psychology naturally respects individuals who possess their own direction because they contribute stability instead of insecurity. They enjoy companionship without expecting another person to provide their entire sense of purpose. This balance creates deeper trust because affection is offered freely rather than demanded through fear of abandonment. Independence also encourages honest communication. You become more willing to express your thoughts respectfully because your identity is no longer built upon avoiding disagreement at all costs. At the same time, you remain open to listening and learning because confidence does not require arrogance. Relationships flourish when both individuals are growing instead of one constantly depending on the other for emotional security. Personal goals continue to matter, healthy boundaries remain respected, and mutual encouragement replaces unhealthy attachment. Over time, this way of living creates quiet confidence. You appreciate the people in your life, but your peace does not disappear if circumstances change. You understand that your value is rooted in your character, your actions, and your commitment to becoming a better person each day. By protecting your independence while building meaningful relationships, you create connections based on mutual respect, trust, honesty, and shared growth. Instead of losing yourself in the pursuit of acceptance, you strengthen both your own identity and the quality of your relationships, allowing love, friendship, and partnership to become expressions of choice, respect, and genuine appreciation rather than emotional dependence or fear. True mystery is never created through manipulation or calculated games. It develops naturally when your life is guided by purpose rather than by the constant need to explain yourself or seek attention. Many people believe that appearing mysterious requires being emotionally distant, intentionally confusing, or withholding information to influence others. While these behaviors may create temporary curiosity, they rarely build genuine respect because they are rooted in performance instead of authenticity. Human nature is naturally curious about people who possess depth, direction, and quiet confidence. When your time is invested in meaningful goals, personal growth, and living according to your values, you no longer feel compelled to reveal every thought, achievement, or plan to everyone around you. This creates a natural sense of mystery because people recognize that your life is centered on purpose rather than on managing their opinions. Authenticity means allowing your words and actions to remain aligned. You do not pretend to be someone you are not in order to gain admiration, nor do you hide your true character behind carefully constructed images. Instead, you speak honestly, act consistently, and let your behavior communicate your values. Human psychology responds positively to this kind of quiet confidence because it feels genuine and dependable. A person who is comfortable with themselves does not constantly seek reassurance or attention. They share what is appropriate, listen more than they speak, and allow relationships to develop naturally instead of forcing them through unnecessary performance. Purpose also gives you the confidence to keep certain ambitions private until your work speaks for itself. Rather than announcing every goal before it is achieved, you remain focused on consistent action. This habit protects your energy from distraction and allows your results to become the strongest evidence of your commitment. Over time, people become interested not because you deliberately tried to appear mysterious, but because your actions consistently reflect discipline, integrity, and direction. They see someone who values growth more than recognition and substance more than appearance. By allowing mystery to emerge naturally from a purposeful life, instead of attempting to manufacture it through manipulation, you create a presence that inspires curiosity, trust, and lasting respect. Others become interested in your character because it is authentic, your confidence because it is earned, and your life because it reflects genuine purpose rather than a carefully designed performance intended to impress those around you. Lasting respect is never demanded, purchased, or achieved through appearances alone. It is earned gradually through authenticity and consistency. Many people spend enormous amounts of energy trying to create the perfect image, hoping that if they appear successful, confident, or influential, others will automatically admire them. While appearances may attract attention for a short time, they cannot sustain trust because human nature eventually looks beyond words and appearances to examine behavior. People may initially notice what you say, but over time they remember what you repeatedly do. Authenticity means living in a way where your values, actions, and decisions remain aligned. You do not pretend to be someone different in order to gain approval, nor do you constantly change your personality to satisfy the expectations of others. Instead, you become comfortable expressing your true character with honesty and respect. This creates credibility because people experience the same person in private as they do in public. Consistency strengthens that credibility by proving that your character is dependable rather than temporary. Every promise you keep, every responsibility you fulfill, and every difficult situation you handle with integrity becomes another reason for others to trust you. Human psychology naturally responds to consistency because it creates predictability and emotional security. People feel more confident placing their trust in someone whose actions remain stable even when circumstances become difficult. Authenticity also gives you the freedom to stop performing for acceptance. Instead of measuring your worth by how many people approve of you, you begin measuring your success by whether your daily actions reflect your principles. This shift creates quiet confidence because your identity is no longer built on changing opinions. Relationships become healthier as well because they are based on honesty instead of unrealistic expectations. Others know they can rely on your words because they are supported by your actions. Even when mistakes happen, authenticity allows you to accept responsibility, learn from the experience, and continue growing without pretending to be perfect. Over time, this combination of honesty and consistency shapes a reputation that cannot be created through clever words alone. Respect grows naturally because your behavior repeatedly demonstrates discipline, reliability, humility, and integrity. By committing yourself to authentic living and consistent action, you build a life that inspires genuine confidence in others, strengthens every meaningful relationship, and leaves a lasting impression based not on temporary appearances, but on the enduring quality of your character and the dependable example you set every single day.